everyone. CT Luna here. Welcome to the Audio Lab. Throughout the month of July, I'm running a little experiment, and I know so many of you love to listen to your books. And since I'm getting ready to eventually record and publish the official audiobook for Brown Beyond, I wanted to practice out loud with you first. So every single day this month, I'm pulling up a chair, reading a few pages of my art right here. And if you're on the free list, these daily drops will open for just a few. Head into the archives for my paid subscribers. So make sure you keep up. If you ever miss a session or you want to unlock the whole archive to listen at your own pace, you can upgrade to a paid subscription at any time. And just so you know, like upgrading paid subscription means you also get the ebook free, delivered to you free. So that's another getting the ebook and also then having access to all the audios. Okay, so today I am going to be continuing from where I left off yesterday. It's in the, and apologies, I just noticed this while going through it. It's chapter 13, but it's written as chapter 12 or printed as chapter 12 in the book. So it's chapter 13, Freedom, No Matter Where. And it's in that sort of middle place where the 3 stars are. The train from Winterthur to Zurich was my daily commute, transporting a microcosm of the country's vibrant diversity from one part of the canton into the city. Despite my newness in the country, I was developing some sense of belonging thanks to my Swiss passport and regular practice speaking the local Swiss-German dialect. Over the previous few years, regulars on the train began to acknowledge me in a silent greeting with eye contact and a smile. If not quite woven into the fabric of this multicultural society, I was making my way through the alternating threads of space and time, culture and experience. Then, in early 2016, the familiar rhythm of my commute was disrupted by a jarring sight. Billboards plastered with the image of a white sheep kicking a black sheep off the red-colored territory of the Swiss flag. The Durchsetzungsinitiative, the DSI referendum, had arrived, a chilling shift in the public discourse. As a biracial woman navigating this landscape, I felt the stark contrast between my internal sense of belonging and the external perception of this. The billboards with the black sheep being expelled from the flag reminded me of my childhood days when the neighborhood kids in Virginia would bleat, "Black sheep," when my brother and I came out to play. The billboards felt like a reminder that, despite holding a Swiss passport, I was still perceived as an outsider by some. The display of prejudice fueled a sense of unease and cultural misunderstanding. It felt like the very fabric of the society I was weaving myself into was being torn apart, replaced by a narrative of exclusion and fear. The initiative highlighted the fragility of belonging and the ever present threat of discrimination based on my background and appearance. I was not the only one who was swept up by the storm of fear, uncertainty, and a sense of injustice. British Swiss advertising creative Parvez Sheikh Farid fearlessly created his response to the Black Sheep campaign with a billboard depicting the Swiss cross deformed into a white swastika. Originally posted on Facebook, the poster got the finance feature prominently at the Zurich main train station days before the deadline, where Farid's message was clear and straightforward. Vote in favor of the DSI, and Switzerland could follow in the footsteps of Nazi Germany and apartheid South Africa. Many people vehemently disagreed with the poster's claim. Many people felt personally attacked and falsely labeled as fascist or racist. Others, even some opponents of the DSI bill, claimed the poster went too far, driving even more divisiveness into the controversy of the topic. In a Persönlich.com article, Farid is quoted as saying, quote, "I think it's wrong to think in advance about who might like the message and who might not. Then you no longer have a clear message. Not being liked is the price of clear communication. If the content of the message weren't factually verifiable, I wouldn't have made that poster. Provocation just for the sake of provocation would be dumb. End quote. This is freedom. These are the words of a person who knows he belongs in a place independently of external factors, such as how he may or may not be perceived or accepted by others around him. This feeling means he can freely honor and express the value his perspective brings to a discussion. I began having conversations with my colleagues and family. I gently voiced my concerns about the initiative's potential for its discriminatory nature and the risk of injustice. The conversations, though sometimes heated, were respectful. Through these discussions, I began to appreciate my voice as well as the Swiss attitude that everyone has the right to express their opinion. The conversations were generally civil, and even when we disagreed on the topic, I didn't feel less liked by my colleagues for having a different perspective. Dickon Buse, British Swiss author, travel writer, and blogger, wrote a blog post about the DSI referendum, also describing the posters as racist, just as I had felt when I. Several people commented the term black sheep is just an expression, not at all referencing a person's or a foreigner's potentially darker complexion. When I was a preteen in Washington, I recall that we were in the final quarter before presidential election. I was hanging out with one of the girls in my neighborhood, and I had been invited to eat lunch with her and her family. When there was a lull in conversation, I asked, to nobody in particular, who are you going to vote for on election day? The table went silent, and my friend's mother said, that's not something you ask. Why not? Because it's private, she responded. Of course, I didn't press further. I didn't understand at the time that some people that may be in opposition to the community that surrounds them. In contrast, in Switzerland, I observed that no one seemed to feel threatened by a broad range of perspectives on a topic, even when they can be as polarizing as immigration rights or as inflammatory as and xenophobia. My 9 vote opposing the referendum joined that of thousands of other Swiss people who rejected it in 2016. This newfound sense of agency extended beyond the privacy of a vote. The nationwide rejection of the initiative was a turning point for me. It wasn't just a victory for justice, it was a personal triumph. I felt a surge of relief and a sense of belonging. My voice and my vote mattered, and they could be expressed without fear of retaliation. It was a powerful reminder that my unique perspective had a place in Swiss society. The rejection by a majority of the Durchsetzungsinitiative underscored the strength that comes from embracing one's identity and advocating for justice and equality. I changed how I started to show up on a day-to-day basis. Instead of trying to blend in and go unnoticed, I found myself engaging more confidently with my Swiss colleagues, voicing my opinions and ideas without hesitation, or at least with less hesitation. I could appreciate my colleagues' motivations better. Many of them had never known a life without the right to vote, and so they might not have fully understood the gravity of the consequences of a yes vote. I felt a sense of responsibility to insights and experiences. Through this experience, I could better appreciate my voice, my concerns, and the fact that my vote, grand scheme of things. It was a powerful realization that I was not merely a resident, but an active participant in shaping the nation's future. While this newfound confidence and self-assurance undoubtedly contributed to my professional growth, enabling me to tackle challenges with greater resolve and navigate workplace dynamics with increased awareness and sensitivity, it was also a reminder that I needed to get my own house in order. The Durchsetzungsinitiative compelled me to confront vulnerability, one notable area being my financial independence. I had always been drawn to the idea of financial independence. I mean, who isn't? To make choices without being constrained by money worries. I never wanted for anything. My parents' education and exposed my brother and me to a global perspective. However, money was a taboo subject in our household. This instilled in me a curiosity about finances and a desire to understand the power and potential of money. Money matters were never discussed at the dinner. For example, I had a clue what either of my parents earned at any given point in our lifetimes. As children, we would be told things like, money doesn't grow on trees. And I used to earn my weekly allowance based on the chores I completed on weekends. I would get a dime sink and a 25 cents, oh, sorry, a quarter for cleaning the bathtub, that sort of thing. As I progressed through high school, university, and graduate school, growing older, I developed a range of opinions about money and wealth. My parents and teachers encouraged me to consider a major in the sciences, engineering, or computing, as these fields often lead to high paying jobs. Later, people often asked me, what can you do with a French degree? The same thing people do with their, except I also have the skill of communicating in another language. When I was in communication studies, the messages of the day warned about the demise of journalism with the advent of the internet. Don't do what I did. Don't be a journalist. It's hard work, it doesn't pay, and you will probably get laid off, like I did. In the end, I still earned a degree in communications, which in hindsight was the only that fulfilled my understanding of who I am and value I bring. It boosted my professional confidence as I was able to nurture my curiosity on a range of topics while also strengthening my artistic expression, particularly through written communication. By the time I landed my dream job as a writer in a professional services firm, I had of hands-on training, refining my communication techniques, strategy. It was in that role that it dawned on me I was right. And it wasn't a struggle. I was earning a legitimate salary that covered my living expenses and left a little extra for the occasional holiday trip and to put aside in savings. When I realized that I had actually succeeded in doing work I love that I would get paid for, I turned over to my finances and noticed that my accumulated savings by that point could barely fatten a modestly sized piggy. Generally speaking, Swiss people are big savers. Colleagues my age, and even a decade younger than me, have very healthy piggy banks. Some of them have entire farms of oinkers. I was regularly seeing how the principles of the law of attraction were working for me. If the law of attraction had taken me from Washington to Maui and from America to Switzerland, and if it helped me land my dream job, it could also help me grow my wealth. I probed further in the world of personal and spirituality and began to explore new perspectives on money. Notably, I learned that just as I had come to realize the American dream was not for me, my original thinking on money was on traditional notions of scarcity and accumulation. The law of attraction, emphasis on abundance and positive thinking, resonated deeply with me. It offered a new approach to money, not as a source of stress and anxiety, but as a means to create the life I desired. This shift in mindset opened up a world of possibilities. Financial freedom became a journey of self discovery and then a goal with a set outcome. It was about aligning my actions with my values, making conscious choices about how I earned, spent, and invested my money. It was about creating a life where I could pursue my passions, support loved ones, and make a positive impact around me. Building financial security and independence became a form of self expression, claiming my place in the world, and taking control of my destiny. It was about breaking free from the limitations of financial dependence and embracing the freedom to live life on my terms. Like the journey to inner freedom, the journey to financial freedom is a continuous process. It requires self awareness, discipline, and a willingness to learn and adapt. But with each step forward, I'm reminded of the power to deliberately intend a life of abundance and the power to create a truly free life. And that is where we're stopping for today. And I'm just going to take a moment to acknowledge something that I think relates specifically to this passage that I just finished reading, and it's really about something that happened yesterday. So you might have noticed that like my energy level is just a little bit lower. And if I'm a little bit honest with you all, it's because I'm just slightly hungover. So I had a wonderful evening yesterday with my husband and our landlady and her best friend. They are a couple of octogenarians, and we had an honest to goodness, you only live once sort of experience. We went to have dinner at a luxury hotel in the middle of Zurich, which has just like this beautiful view over its property, the lake, Lake Zurich, the Uetliberg across the lake, and then the no longer snow-capped Alps in the background. And it was just a lovely, wonderful evening. We had a time, and it was the reminder, like this is the reason why I report to a day job day. And these are the moments that I do save up and put some money aside for. I don't want to wax overly lengthy on this, but I did have an interview with a wonderful woman. Her name is Sabrina Denise, just a few weeks ago, or maybe even a couple of months ago. Yeah, in May. And I'm going to attach that to this post because I think it's a wonderful reminder. She actually describes a very simple budgeting technique where you're not kind of like a slave to the amount of money that you have in your bank account, and that you can kind of put money aside for hell yes moments. So with that, I just wanted to kind of make this reference in this call, since I happen to be talking about financial freedom and how important it is for your, no matter where you are in life, to kind of create moments where you can start really putting some money aside specifically for moments that bring you joy and that are really meaningful. Okay, so if you have a question about the book, the writing process, or anything we covered in today's segment, please drop it in the comments of this post, and I might just answer yours on a future episode. And I'm really glad to share this process with you. Look out for the next pages in your inbox tomorrow morning. And if you know somebody who connects with this part of the journey, please share. Still open to the public. And if you want to support this audio experiment and my writing and drafting to consider becoming a paid subscriber to unlock everything. Thank you so much for listening, and I will see you tomorrow.